This Week in Grip, and today I'm joined not only by the esteemed Alan Heineck, but also James Retarides. And what we're doing today is we are covering the top feats of 2018. We have been up since the sun came up. We have been working on this all day, all weekend, part of last week, but I guarantee you we're going to miss some. So don't be too hard on us, everybody. We did our best. This is not the easiest task in the world, and we actually welcome you. If you think that we've missed some feats, go ahead and put them in the comments section, and then we will try to cover those next week. So before we get too deep in this, James, please tell us, everybody, about yourself. Let us know who you are and your history with grip and arm wrestling, all that stuff, dude.
Okay. Well, first of all, a good day to you, gentlemen, and thanks again for having me on the show.
Yeah.
I arm wrestled I started arm wrestling in the 90s and started refereeing arm wrestling probably a few years into starting as an arm wrestler. Ended up doing promotional work as a promoter in the sport. Ended up sitting on the board of directors for the USAF. So, done a lot in terms of organizational and competition in arm wrestling. Won a few national championships and a few regionals and overalls at regionals. And started doing grip back in 2013 at Bob Sundin's house. Bob actually came by one time in 2009 and introduced us to grip because there was a guy who some of you might know, Scott George, who lives nearby. Scott, I know Scott started on the number 3, and he was heavily involved in grip for a long time. He started arm wrestling at my house in, I want to say, 2007. So he introduced us to Bob, and then after I stopped arm wrestling, I started going to train with Bob and sort of never looked back. Really enjoy grip training. Really enjoy the people and the community. So I certainly don't regret it, and I've had so much fun just going after all the different feats of strength. So
that's cool. Alan, do you know that name, Scott George?
I'm not familiar with it, no.
So he was really active in grip, I would say, from 2005 to 2007, around that area. And he's like a government contractor. He goes to the Middle East as I don't know how you would say it. He's a civilian. He's not an actual soldier or anything, but he's there on a contract basis. What's that?
That's his cover.
Yeah. That's his cover?
007, Scott George, yeah.
He's like a mercenary or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but he's probably famous for having the absolute worst cramp in his lower arm that I've ever seen. He was doing, I think it was the 100-pound plate, rim hold for time. It was a 100-pounder in each hand, and you had to hold him for time at Gripmas one year. And his hand seized up on him, and it was cramped for probably a good solid 60 seconds, and he could not pry his hand open. It was the last event in the contest.
Oh, perfect time for Feats.
Yeah, dude, he was just seized, absolutely seized up, and I never saw him again. So I don't know if
he recovered,
scared him away or what. Great guy, fantastic guy. They even ran a Tar Heels grip competition that I have a shirt for, and we were going to go down. All of us from the Diesel crew were going to go down there, and it snowed 8 inches overnight, and we were just going to drive down and come back, and we weren't able to make it. So, but yeah, that's a cool name. I did not know that you knew him, James. That's pretty cool.
Well, he was a natural at arm wrestling. I mean, he started out. I mean, he needed a lot of help with side pressure but his coordination was good, and his hand and wrist were just solid. Yeah. I mean, from those years of grip, and quite a dubious distinction, the greatest hand cramp of all time, or lower forearm cramp of all time. So
it was insane. It was insane.
That's the legacy he leaves.
Yep. Definitely a good dude. he was training partners, as I recall, with Anson Castelvecchi, and he ran like Silverback Strength for a while. He was a sponsor on the grip board. I don't know if you guys would have ever seen that, but
I know
way ahead of
Anson.
me.
Yeah, actually, I bought Anson's 20-pound sledgehammer off him, and I've trained a little bit with Anson. I saw him at Garage Night one time at Nick Rosendaal's too, so I know Anson pretty well.
Yep, cool stuff, man. All right, well, this is what we're going to do, guys. We've got 4 categories. We've got crush, we got pinch, we got thick bar, and miscellaneous. We're each going to do a rundown. We're going to give our top 5 feats in each category, plus an honorable mention. You're going to hear some names over and over and over throughout this list. You're going to hear some repetition. Going to be some overlap. James, Alan, and I have not traded lists or anything. We have absolutely no clue what each person is going to cover, and we are letting James have the honor of going first with his top 5 in the crush category. So, James, take it away, dude.
All right, so at number 5, I have Gabriel Sum setting the record for the number 4 Silver Bullet. He came in just under 20 seconds. It was 19.95 seconds at the Underground Grip Germany Invitational in November. So that is my number 5.
Cool.
At number 4, I chose basically the heaviest close in a contest this year at 20 millimeters, and that was Ches at the 4 for February contest that Nate Browse had. He closed a gripper rated at 190. So that was my number 4 crush feat. Number 3, I also had Ches, and it was just because he certed MM7, and that's a pretty rarefied air. And I'm sure Ches will have more in store for us this coming year in 2019. As I've heard, he's going to try to cert the 3.5, and who knows, maybe MM8. That would be pretty cool. Number 2, I had Gyu-Min Lee of South Korea certing on the number 3, credit card setting a number 3 at age 15. And he did that back in May. And I had a tie for number 1, and it's a 3-way tie between Karl Myerscough, I'm probably going to butcher these next 2 names, Boyan Pejic and Nikita Krivoshev. They all certed on the 3.5 gripper this year. So credit card setted 3.5s, certed on the Iron Mine list. So I thought those were that was probably the feat of the year for me. And again, 3 people doing it. So
awesome. Way to get us started there, James. Did you have an honorable mention there in the crush category?
Actually, let me check my honorable mention list here. It's interesting. I want to say no. And the only reason why is because I didn't have a video rolling of when this happened, but I handed Juji Mufu a HG 350, and he closed it. He set it and closed it, which was really impressive to me. So for a guy who just learned how to set like 2 months before from learning from you, I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, dude.
So, yeah.
Awesome. I think you did a really good job. I like how this is starting out already. Good job with that, James. Anything else?
Thank you. For me, not for crush. No, those were the only things I had listed for crush. Cool.
All right, next up is Alan for the crush category, dude. Take it away.
All right. I'm going to kick mine off with Karl Myerscough, COC 3.5 cert, his being the first since 2015. My next one up, number 4, was Gyu-Min Lee, the 15-year-old COC 3 closer. So we already have a couple of duplicates. Third on the list was, again, I'll go with James's pronunciation on this. Bohan Pejic, was that what it was, James?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But he started the 3 and the 3.5 in the same day. Also had Gabriel Sum as number 2 for his COC 4 Silver Bullet close. And then Ches got my number 1 spot for the MM7. He took that number 1 because I think we have less Mash Monster 7s than we have 3.5 certs. Hopefully I'm not mistaken. Darn close on that one anyway.
Yeah,
not many people up
there. Great logic too. Yeah, I like that logic too. I didn't consider it that way, but that's a great way of looking at it.
And my honorable mention went to Valeri T for his Mass Monster 6 close.
Nice. Very cool. Good list, Alan. Good job. I like the way you guys approach this. Good work. Anything else, Alan?
No, that covered it. I think I actually had a couple more things written down, but it's really hard for me to flip pages right now. But maybe we'll circle back to that later.
Okay. So, obviously I put weight on, not on closures, but I guess Silver Bullet. So my number 5 was Jesse Pignonin, number 4 Silver Bullet record this year at 19.12 seconds. And I didn't think to write down when they took place or where, but that was my number 5. Number 4 was the next record that was set by Clay Edgen on the number 4 Silver Bullet was 19.44. After that, that's when I threw in Yu-Min Lee, the 15-year-old number 3 certified closer, because somehow I either missed or totally forgot that even took place. And that's got to be one of the youngest certified closers of the 3 since the credit card set. It seems like there might have been a couple younger ones, especially when we had the old rules. But is that the youngest, guys? I mean, do you know?
No, I don't think it was. They didn't mention that way in the article. I tried finding it, but it's tough to navigate some of that from my phone.
Yeah.
So.
Either way, 15 is like so young. The only thing I remember about 15 for me is dislocating my wrist throwing a baseball. You know what I mean? So that was me at 15, and this kid's closing a 3 with a credit card set.
When I was 15, I was walking around the lawn shooting birds with my pellet gun and starting my wrestling recordings collection on VHS tapes. So to have someone with the discipline at 15 years old to cert a number 3 on a credit card, which I can't even do right now, is really impressive to me.
I wish I would have started this stuff at 15. Can you imagine where we'd be now?
Yeah, no kidding.
Holy cow.
What a bright future that kid has for grip.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I give the nod in the number 2 spot to Becca Roberts for her number 3 Silver Bullet hold.
Yes.
It wasn't official in contest or anything, but it was 15.21 seconds. And
she was on my back page.
Number 1 is I gave the nod to Gabriel Soom with his current world record of 19.95. So lots of Silver Bullet there for me. And then even one more for Tanner, honorable mention with a 2:10, number 4, not official attempt, but he got 19 seconds. So he's right there. And if you look at the body weights of these other guys, I believe most of them are at least in the 105 category or higher, 105 kilos. And Tanner's only in the 83. So pretty impressive stuff. And it was fun looking back. I wish I would have gotten on the grip board and looked back at some of those, because those Mash Monster ones are very impressive too, but I failed to do that. So good coverage, guys. Very good coverage.
Yeah.
Anything else on the crush stuff?
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if you heard when you mentioned Rebecca Roberts' number 3 Silver Bullet, you might have to isolate the audio, but I actually slapped myself in the forehead because I was like, how did I forget that? So that's it, I guess. I
had that written down. I did have that written down as an additional one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough. It's tough when you're given 5 and there's so many options.
I would even say that if she can do a 15-second number 3 Silver Bullet, if that's like middle of a range 3, I bet she could probably do a 3.5 for at least 5 seconds if it was a lighter end 3.5. Just by going over some of the numbers of like some of the people that I've worked with over the years, I bet with the right 3.5 she'd be able to get an official close or an official hold.
That's insane. I mean, anyone who's even set a 3.5, can tell you that it's not easy to even get that Silver Bullet into position.
Yeah.
So for her to do that, that's impressive.
Yeah, man.
It's insane.
For sure. All right, so let's move on to what's next. We said it was going to be the pinch category. And I'm up first on this one. So my number 5, and this category is going to be interesting, I think, because, the crush is like fairly straightforward, like you're dealing with grippers pretty much, but pinch, there is just so much more equipment that can be used in this. So I think we're maybe going to see less overlap here. Not sure.
Indeed.
And again, I think I encouraged everyone at the beginning of the show, but if not, go ahead and leave your top 3 in the comment section before we taint your views. Had to work the word taint in there. But get those down there so that we can use that information going forward for future shows. So number 5 for me, I'm going to throw it at Carl Myerscough, someone that we've already talked about already. 254.8 pound two-hand pinch on the flask, and it was, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, the first time he ever encountered the flask.
Yeah, so, I remember that. Yeah,
I remember gee whiz. With some training, he'd be up around probably 275, if not more. Let's see. Number 4, another flask feat. I was giving this one to Jerome Bloom. He did a 2 fingers and thumb lift of 79 pounds on the flask, and that is something that I cannot even come close to doing. I was blown away when I saw that. So
you need to cut that crap out.
Yeah, that is really, really freaky right there.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I don't know what his hand size is, but that seems like, because I know Jerome's not a big guy, it seems like the flask would be even a strange width for him.
Right.
His hands are on the small size, to my understanding. And I think he even indicated that his 2-finger lift on the flask it might be close or even maybe a little bit more than like his whole hand lift because of his disadvantaged hand position on it.
Wow.
I think he just gets a better purchase that way.
Yeah. Really cool.
But he's
really
a loyal listener. He'll set us straight on that one.
Number 3, no idea how to say this name properly, but I'm going to try. I'm going to say Kivik Ivan, and he set a world record this year on the new moon top of 26.3 kilos, which comes out to 57.9 pounds at the King Kong of grip. That number blows my mind. I can't even get my head wrapped around it. It's so high up there. And I lumped that into the pinch category, kind of a hub lift. I kind of thought that was like pinchish in nature. So he's number 3 on my pinch list. Number 2, and some of these are a reflection of like what these guys are doing in comparison to what I've done. So you mentioned Juji Mufu earlier, James, and I'm going to give him my number 2 spot because he lifted, I think you might have been there when this happened, he lifted the Iron Grip Monster, which is the half 125 Iron Grip dumbbell block weight, which I've only ever lifted mine twice, and I've had it like 10 years or something like that. So
yeah, he
10
did,
years
he
might be
that.
a little much, but I've had it for a long time. And he ended up lifting that. So I thought that was incredible. What were you going to say, James?
Just a little background. He did that in my garage, and it was weird because as he was lifting it, like his fingers started slipping off, and at one point he was only holding on to it with 2 fingers and his thumb. And he was able to lift it, and we were all just it was a really strange thing because I have 2 different sets of 6 10-pound plates, and the width is nowhere near as wide as the Iron Grip one, and he wasn't able to lift those 6s with the pipe in the middle, but he was able to lift that, and we all were just kind of like, this is strange because there were a few of us that could pull the 610s with the pipe, but none of us could lift that.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's really strange.
I mean, that Iron Grip Monster, Alan, is so freaking wide. I think it's like 6 inches wide or something like that. Do you know?
I've seen the pictures.
To it?
What's that?
Have you measured the IGM, the half 125?
I haven't. Actually, Gary Stewart is borrowing it right now, but it's wide and it's kind of obnoxious because it's kind of hard to like. You can't chalk it. So forget it. It's almost like you just have to somehow, I don't know, like I've tilted it and popped it a little bit, but I've never even come close to doing what Juji was able to do with it. That was really impressive.
Yeah, man, for sure. My number one spot, I'm giving that to Harry Talonen. He set a world record on the Ironman pinch block this year of 51.4 kilos, which is huge. And I think that's like the second or third time that he's set that, like he's broken that record on that lift.
Wow. I can't. He said it twice in one day.
What's that?
He said it twice in one day.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, because Hari made my spot too.
Okay. So 51.4 kilos, I mean, that's over 110 pounds. So it's probably about 113 pounds or so just by my quick calculations. I mean, that's
on a block. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is already getting interesting. How what people are picking. I'm curious to see where James heads, because I think I gravitated quite a bit different on this pinch one.
I gravitated a lot different, actually.
And then my honorable mention, going back to two-hand pinch on the flask, was Yves Gravel. Hopefully I pronounced that somewhat correctly. 220 plus on the two-hand pinch at extremely light body weight that I didn't write down. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Next is James. James, tell us your top five on the pinch, brother.
Okay, so I had a tie for fifth, and a lot of my feats were plate pinching feats because, maybe I'm a little biased, but that's kind of what I gravitate towards personally. Luke Raymond, a few weeks ago, cleaning and pressing those 235s, I hadn't seen that before, but I had that tied with Nick Rosenthal, who had cleaned and pressed 3 10-kilogram plates that he had pinched together. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to figure out which one of those would be more difficult. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, just because Luke, like, for example, could clean and press the 235s, it doesn't mean that he would be able to do that with the 322s. And then I was thinking, just because Nick can do that with the 3 22-pound plates doesn't mean he can do it with the 235s. So I didn't know which one to choose as a more impressive feat. So I had them tied at fifth.
Cool.
Number 4, I had Aaron Corcoran, just because he had the heaviest two-hand pinch of the year in contest. It was on a Euro. It was not on a flask, which, is known to be a little bit grippier. He did it at Gripness a few weeks ago. He had 116.71 kilograms, 257.3 pounds. Mm-hmm. So I had him in at number 4. Number 3 is going to be quite a departure, I'm sure, from what you guys have. But James Fuller, him flipping and catching a 75-pound York plate was just absolutely bizarre to me. I mean, that was something, because I've messed with those plates a little bit because Bob had a set of them that he sold to Scott Johnson, and I farmers walked them and stuff like that, and they're awkward and they're strange, and to think to be able to flip it and catch it, I mean, that definitely had to make the list for me.
It was one hand?
One hand, yeah.
Holy crap, I didn't see that.
I saw that feat. Is it, what kind of plate was that? A 75-pound?
It was a 75-pound York plate. It's on his Instagram, which is Strongman Archaeology, but I'm sure you guys already follow him.
Sure, yeah. James, he's a good friend of mine. He's been down here a few times. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Instagram is so tricky. I've explained that before, but that feed, the way that thing populates and stuff, I'll have something that'll be on there for days, and then I just miss so much crap on it. It's ridiculous. If the hashtag isn't right, it just flies right by me. Doesn't give me much to go back and dig through even. So, Wow.
Well, I watch James really closely because he's one of my favorite people to follow by far, and he's given me so much information over the last few years, training wise, and just about old plates and dumbbells. He's Strongman Archaeology is a tag that certainly fits him. We'll put it that way.
That's a fitting thing. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So my number 2 was a pinch feat was a tie between Luke, you, Jed, and Arto for pinching 255-pound plates, smooth side out. That was, I know how tough that feat is. I did it left-handed last year. I know there's only like 8 of us that have done it, and all 3 of you doing it this year. And I think even you doing the 2 rogue plates, which I think is a little bit more difficult, because I don't know if you've measured yours, but I'm guessing they're probably in the 54 millimeter range. That is, for having a big hand and being able to pinch those, that's impressive.
So would you consider those thinner, James, than like the ones that you've done in the past?
Yeah. Okay. The Lyoko plates that we pinch are at about 58 millimeters. And that's like my wheelhouse. That feels like really good to me. But when I start reducing in millimeters, if I go down to 40-something millimeters, it's an awkward pinch to me. Like those York 100-pound plates I pinch, they're like 44 millimeters. It's just awkward to me, going thinner.
Interesting.
Isn't that weird how your power seems to shut down when you get really thin? It's like you're strong at like a couple widths, and then it just peters right out. Like you kind of stray far from that. That's how it is for me.
And I watched Gil Goodman had pinched 2 of the 20-kilogram plates, and his fingers were so like crimped together. It was like it just looked so narrow to him. Because he's got such a big hand. So I think having a big hand with that kind of a pinch feat is actually a setback. So I'm definitely giving the nod to you guys on that. And my number 1 feat, and call me a little biased here, it's okay. I thought about it, and I tried to be as objective as possible with this, was Bob Sundin pinching those 2 deep dish 50-pound Weider plates that have the hub that bump in the middle. They're rounded on the edge, and they're awkward. They range around 76 millimeters total, which is kind of a weird width to pinch at, and you just can't get them to stay together. They slide, they move, and, he's pulled them. I'm not saying there's no one else that could pull them, but I can tell you this, that it is certainly a more difficult pull for him, and certainly for me, because I haven't done it, than the 255s. So I had to give him the nod, and I know he's a training partner of mine, so I might sound a little biased, but it was that's a hell of a feat.
That's awesome. I missed that one. Yeah, he made my list, but not for that.
Now, James, questions on that feat. Are they actually 45-pounders that weigh 50, or are they 50-pound plates?
They're 50-pound plates.
Okay.
Yeah, they have this straight. See, Scott Johnson bought the plates because he wanted to try to hub them or pinch them, and he realized the hub was too sloped, and he said, "Well, I don't think anybody could hub this thing." And then he said, "They're not pinchable because they don't the way they line up." And I said, "Well, I'd like to give him a try to pinch them."
Yeah.
So I was like deloading them with a band, and I was getting closer and closer to doing them. But it just was like, it was one of those things where you're training something, it gets frustrating, and you're like, you know what, I need to take a break from this. It's really awkward because if one plate was rounded and the other one was kind of, sharp, it would probably be a little bit easier, because I would rather have a rounded plate or a beveled plate on my thumb side and then like a flat plate on my finger side. Well, they're rounded on both sides. The hubs bump, and they just don't line up. You have to, like, pinch them together, and then they separate at the bottom, and they slide, and they move. It's awful. It's actually frustrating to set up to pinch them. So that's why I put that as the top beat.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's cool. I have, James, the reason I asked that is I have a couple 45s here that are very, very old. I can't tell you who makes them right now. I could send you guys a picture. They're 45-pound plates, but they each weigh 50 pounds. They're extremely heavy. So it would be cool. I don't think I locked them out. I think I got them like maybe 6 inches off the ground. Don't think I've ever locked them out, but it would be cool to see Bob try those when he was like peaked for that feat, because I bet he could get these. Because
this is the time of year to do it, because he's we call him the Rain Man.
Yeah.
He likes for more than one reason. He does calculations in his brain like Rain Man, and he also trains in all conditions. Like, there's been times we've been in the backyard at his place, and there's sleet falling, and we're just, like, uncomfortable and cold, and he's in a T-shirt, and he's, pinching. So he's the Rain Man. Yeah.
That's cool. Very cool.
Nice.
All right, great list. Anything else, James, on the pinch category?
No.
Okay. Alan?
All right, on to me.
What do you got?
Okay, in my number 5 spot, I had Bob Sundin, but mine was with his Weeder 50 and Rogue 25 kilogram plate pinch. This was posted by you, James, back in August.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I thought that was impressive.
I had that, and I ended up paring it down the list. So I thought that was very impressive as well.
Yep, that was a solid one. Number 4 was Hari Talonen's blockbuster world record of the 51.4 kilograms. And then I really strayed from you guys on the rest of mine here. So number 3, I gave it to Gil Goodman for being the first to pull off the Heller block lift stateside. I thought that was awesome, and I'm a block weight guy, so real impressive. Then I gave 2 to Jedd.
It should be noted that I guess there's a series of those, and that's the 25 kilo Heller blob, which is something that I think got lost in translation at some point. So I guess there are lighter ones.
Yeah, but that was
slick.
That was how it looked. It looked like that. Looked just like the Robo Blob to me from the pictures.
Yeah,
but maybe not quite as refined.
There is the edge of the Heller blob was so sharp. I was afraid to really go after it during the contest because it felt like it was going to instantly lay my thumb open.
Yeah, they should have broke the edge on that a little bit.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, then you got number 2, Jedd, with your blob father lift.
All right.
Impressive block weight lift. And then here comes Brian Shaw. He topped the list with his Gigantor blob lift. First ever on the half 145.
Yeah.
See, you know what's funny? I was thinking that was last year, or else I probably would have included that on my list. I was thinking that was 2017.
Yep. Well, that was awesome.
Miscellaneous.
Okay, well all right. So I had some. Okay, fair enough. There was going to be a little debate there. So all right. And then I had to give for an honorable mention Luke's Man Enough lift. We don't see a lot of people pulling that off, and I think Nate, doesn't he keep like pictures of the guys that have actually lifted that in his basement grip gym?
Yes.
Yeah, Gary Stewart lifted it too.
Okay, I must have missed.
Couldn't do it on video, the silly bastard.
Oh, okay.
Ken, were you standing there? Were you standing there?
I saw him do it.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't count if it's not on video.
I had my phone out and everything, and I was like, oh, maybe I should film this. And he lifts it, and I'm like, okay.
Amateur. That's an amateur mistake right there on the monster's part right there, man. Got to make sure that video's rolling. 55,000 video cameras in that place, cameras and phones and all that stuff, and he just he hurried it.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Well, Gary's taken off. His grip all around, his strength all around is taken off right now. He's had a great year.
Yeah, man. We call that Eliing around here. Eli Thomas will hit world-class feet after world-class feet when the camera's off. You turn that camera on, he's got a grip like a beginner that never touched a blockway before. So
that changes things. That really does, the camera, for some reason, because I'm able to do some things that once I get get the cell phone positioned, things just don't want to take off anymore for whatever reason. I just don't talk about them so I don't get any ridicule, But it seems like that's how it works.
Yeah, I've had experience with it both ways, actually. But I've had experiences where the camera, I think, has helped. But also experiences where I'm like, oh, I just did this. I think I could do it again right now, and then nothing's happening. And I'm like, oh,
it's like somebody put a piece of bubble gum on the bottom of it and glued it to your floor,
Dude, that's a good idea. I'm going to try that. I'm going to start putting adhesive on the bottom of stuff and using it as extra resistance. You got to break that.
Yeah, progressive resistance there.
Yeah, dude. Cool. Good list.
Right.
Anything else there, Alan?
No, that covered it for me.
All right. Well, you're up again on thick bar, bro. You got to start this thing off, so you better not need a break or anything.
I'm good. I'm good.
Fast.
Here it comes. So, Becca Roberts, this is something that just happened. Her thumbless axle lift of 137.05 kilograms.
What was
beautiful.
that? Was that at the competition yesterday?
Was it at the one yesterday? I'm already drawing a blank here.
Well, there
yes,
was one
so.
yesterday, and there were a bunch of
David
world
Horns.
records
Yes.
that I know, but I didn't know if it was a previous one because there was another one that she did at David's earlier this year where she set records, I think.
No, this was the most recent one. This would have been yesterday. I had so much stuff going on yesterday, things kind of fell into a blur when it was all over. So, but yeah, so that's awesome. I don't have a 300-pound axle by any stretch of the imagination, so doing it thumbless to a 20-inch lift, that's impressive for me. Number 4,
yeah.
I had a lady named Julia Williams for Rolling Thunder pull-up records of 9. Hit the Ironman world record.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Number 3, another Rolling Thunder pull-up goes to Alexei Tukalov for one pull-up of 155.51 kilograms total. That's his body weight with weight added.
So that's 155.51 kilograms, and that's total body weight plus the weight added?
Plus the weight added, yep.
Okay.
I missed that.
That's strong. That's strong. I caught that video with, I think Randall Strawson. I think Ricardo Magni might have judged it, but Randall Strawson was right there even.
So that's 342 pounds total, 342.83.
That's tough.
That's insane.
That's not too bad, bro. That's not too bad.
That's insane. I mean, you know, being around so many super heavyweight arm wrestlers and doing a lot of, you know, weighted pull-ups myself, you know, adding weight to a dipping belt kind of thing. You know, you don't see many guys, even some of the guys with the strongest arms and back in the world, above 315, 320 able to do pull-ups, let alone to be able to do them off of Rolling Thunders. That's
Exactly.
I can't believe I missed that, and that just, I'm going to tear up my list here and throw it out now.
That's crazy relative strength when you think about it. You know, it's not even absolute. That's just pure strength all across his body. You know, not just grip. That's really impressive in my mind. Yep.
That's nuts.
Number 2 on my list had to go to Tanner Merkel and Adam Glass for their inch transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Something we definitely don't see that one often. So, very, very impressive feat.
I'll throw in there, Luke and I tried that, and there are so many factors of difficulty associated with that have nothing to do with grip strength. It's not even funny. Like, you have to have the speed down, the angles down, and especially with Luke, I mean, his freaking delts are so big that, like, I couldn't even really see the inch until it was almost at my hand level. So we tried that, dude, and we didn't even come close. Like, it was so freaking hard. It's not even funny.
And that goes to show that much more, because you and Luke have been training together for a considerable length of time.
Yeah.
And Adam Glass and Tanner Merkel, this is a recent, you know, gripping relationship. So they haven't exactly had years at their disposal to work with, you know. So this just goes along with just superior grip strength.
Yeah, that's a brand new
Very
relation
incredible.
grip.
And then
Can you say that again for everybody? Relation grip.
I tried it the first time.
we need a griptionary.
Fantastic.
And my number 1 spot goes to Jedd with his inch clean.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
Had to give you the nod. That's incredible stuff. So that rounds me out. We'll see what you guys come up with here.
Cool. Lost my order again. I'm not sure who's up next. It is me. Okay, I am up next with thick bar. Okay. Here we go. Number 5, I am giving it to Brian Hunsacker because he was the first person to hit 500 plus on the 2-inch Napalm's Nightmare. That was a little internet challenge that was going on between him, me, Clay Edgen, and I think a couple other dudes, and he was the first person to actually reach it. So,
wow.
And I don't know, I'm not sure if anybody else has really done it yet. Clay may have done it, and I've forgotten. Do you guys recall?
I don't think hitting that number. I haven't seen anyone.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I must have missed that one too. Brian always has a bunch of different ones out there. Him lifting a ton of weight on things like that. And
yeah, I would say between it's a head-to-head matchup between Brian and James, actually, with usage of the This Week in Grip hashtag. Like,
oh wow,
really, like every other dude is like you guys. It's like Brian, then somebody else, then James, then somebody else, then Brian. So very good usage of the hashtag.
Yeah, I didn't realize I used it that liberally.
You're using it well. You're using it efficiently,
right,
bro. Efficiently.
Well,
I wouldn't say liberally. I would say efficiently. You've done a good job. Number 4 on the list, Alan mentioned this one, Julia Williams with 9 Rolling Thunder pull-up reps. Number 3, and really too much to mention as far as specifics, but Lane Snook has been putting out videos of just extremely high volume on
I forgot about his stuff.
Stick bar lifts. Yeah, if people haven't seen those, he's not active on Instagram at all, as far as I know. But he posts his footage to YouTube and then has been sharing it in the Grip Strength group on Facebook. So. Yeah. What were some of the handles he used? I think it was some super high number on Rolling Thunder and then one of the Silarukov rolling handles, right?
He opened up with the crusher. I thought that's what he kicked it all off with.
Maybe
it was a 2.5-inch crusher.
Yeah.
But then he was repping for upwards of 20 reps with something very near like the world record almost.
Yeah.
It would certainly imply that he could shatter that anyway.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
no doubt.
Yeah, remarkable.
Number 2, I know that it wasn't a full lift, but as far as I know, there's only been one person in the world to ever come close to what this guy did, and it was just a couple weeks ago at my gym. It was Storm Cellino with a double inch dumbbell thumbless lift to right around knee height. So, and I think if he was here like every week, that he would be able to get that easily within a month. And, I mean, he was able to get it that high with 0 training. We just said, hey, try this, and he got it to, at least the upper part of his shin. So, extraordinary wrist strength. What would that be in arm wrestling, that kind of position, James? Would that be like cupping?
Yeah, and let me tell you something about Storm Cellino. Like, about 2006 or 7, I remember going back up to Connecticut. It was like just after I moved here. There was an arm wrestling tournament there, and Storm Cellino was in the 154-pound novice weight class.
Holy
and
crap.
He destroyed that weight class, and then he won the novice overall, like beating the guys who won like the 198, the super heavyweight. And then, afterwards I had a chance to grip up with him, and I remember saying to him, you can go as far in this sport as you want to. There's nothing stopping you.
Wow.
This kid's hand and wrist back then felt phenomenal. As good, if not better, than any lightweight arm wrestler in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just blessed. I mean, that kid is just blessed. I say a kid. He's not even a kid anymore.
Yeah,
but he was probably 16 at the time or something.
Right.
What is his weight now?
He competes in the 198 class.
Okay.
So he probably cuts to it. Jedd would probably know better than me, but I would say Storm probably walks around 210, 215-ish.
Yeah, I was thinking even maybe 220. He's a big dude, man. Like he's got some muscle.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good-sized guy. I was surprised even at 16 to hear he would have been in the 160 range. So
yeah, I can't even imagine him being that small. But I guess go back to 16 years old. I mean, he's what, mid-30s now, James? Maybe.
Probably, yeah.
12. Yeah, that works out, I guess, or about 30. Yeah. So I mean, heck, anytime that guy can come up, we'd love to have him just to see what he can do. And then the top feet for thick bar I gave to Adam Glass and Tanner Merkel with their team inch transfer When I saw that, I was in just absolute disbelief. And from what I understand, to throw yet another factor of difficulty in there, I guess that's Adam Glass's inch, and it does not have a very good grip to it. It's not a rough handle inch. It's pretty slick, I guess. So that makes it even more impressive. And then this is one that I never noticed before. For my honorable mention, honestly, I don't know how hard this is because I've never done this event, but it looks super impressive to me. Another one for Harri Talonen. He did 120 kilograms on the adjustable thick bar for a 24-second hold, which seems just incredible to me. Couldn't even really understand how hard that must have been. So he's my honorable mention for thick bar. And that's it for me. What about you, James? What do you got for thick bar rankings?
Well, you guys got to bear with me because I didn't realize that Rebecca did what she did yesterday on axle. So I actually had a tie at 5th place. The first that I had was Ludmila Gadichenko, who broke her own double overhand axle record with a lift of 135.65 kilograms, which is just over 299 pounds. And I thought for sure, thumbless or with thumbs, she would be the first person to get to 300. But like I said, I hadn't seen what Rebecca had done at the time that I compiled this list, and I understand that it just happened yesterday. Mm-hmm. So also in a tie with that, and the only reason I tied it is because it happened, within the last week, and it was a training lift. It looked like Lane was using a 2.5 inch or something, some reasonable facsimile thereof of one of those blue Silarukov knockoff handles. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the width of the handle was, but he took 108 kilograms, 238.1 pounds for 12 reps, which was the current 1 rep record on that specific handle. So
crazy. Pretty
amazing stuff from Lane. I've never met Lane personally. I know, Jed, you had a chance to train with him. I remember hearing a show about that. I mean, he looks like his hands are as strong as anyone's in the world, right?
Dude, it's insane. I figured for sure. I really feel that if he would have done King Kong, he would have won this year.
Yeah. I mean, that's impressive. Thinking about that with Alexei winning King Kong 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So it would be cool to see them go head to head for sure.
No doubt.
I haven't seen much narrow pinch from Lane. How is he in that department?
That's a good point.
I don't recall doing any narrow pinch with Lane. We did a bunch of block weights, and I think we did 5/10s pinch. Better has like some really slick 5/10s pinch plates, but I don't recall doing any narrow stuff. I think we might have gotten the flask out at one point for a few minutes, but then it got put right away because we started doing something else.
Oh, sure. Okay. All right. Well, fair enough.
So my number 4 feat. And I know if you look at the weights, it's not as impressive as what Lane did, but I chose Carl Myerscough because he broke the 2.5-inch crusher record at King Kong this year, and that was with a lift of 106 kilograms, 233.69 pounds, which, that's a pretty gigantic lift, considering it was just last year. Jed, you were there. So was Alan. We were all there in Jersey when Duvorn Harris was trying to break the record at that time, and we were all amazed with his lift, which was somewhere in between 210 and 220. So that's a big lift from Carl.
That came up in my research at one point. It was like 211, the lift that I saw. I'd actually forgotten about that. So.
Well, and Duvorn's pull was a lot deeper in a contest than Carl Myerscough was too. Duvorn's, that was the final event, was it not?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, that's J4, yeah. So that shows quite a bit too. Not to take anything away from Carl, but yeah, Duvorn opened with a huge lift there, and that was after all the other stuff. So yeah, real impressive anyway.
Yeah. So number 3, I had Adam Glass and Tanner Merkel for their inch transfer to each other. Just
nice.
Playing hot potato with it. You know what I mean? No big deal. Just toss the inch to each other.
Yeah, no big deal. Exactly.
Yeah. Adam's one of those guys I haven't had a chance to meet. When I was out in Texas, though, I did have a chance to do some lifting with Tanner, and obviously, I don't know if I arm wrestled with Tanner. Can't remember if he gripped up with me, but it definitely got a chance to see them bend and to play around with the inch, and impressive stuff. I mean, he just looked like he could hold that inch all day. So
Yeah.
I had them at 3. At number 2, and this was tough. I had a real difficult time with the number 2 and the number 1 on this. But number 2, I chose Rich Williams' Axel of 560 pounds.
Oh,
I know it's a controversial thing, but having been over to Rich's gym and, seen his equipment and, and seen him kind of in action, I certainly don't question whether or not Rich can pull that kind of weight off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So, and number 1,
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Number 1, Mr. Jedd with his inch clean. That's I know that was a long time coming, and that is, a feat that I don't know how many people have done, maybe 3 or 4 in history. So congratulations to you, Jedd. You certainly get the nod on that one.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Did you have an honorable mention for thick bar, James?
For thick bar, yes, I did. It was actually kind of probably a strange one, but it was Brian Shaw positioning 2 inch dumbbells for that incline press that he did. Mm-hmm. I mean, just to get those into position the way he did, I was like,
that was incredible.
Yeah, it was befuddling to me. So that was my honorable mention.
Awesome. I think I saw this in a comment on YouTube. I don't know if you made the comment, James, but someone was talking about that at some point, I guess Brent Barbie was there. There were 2 inches, and Paul Knight was like, I want to try to bench 2 inches. So instead, he didn't do what Brian did and position himself. He had 2 spotters pick the inches up for him, and they said, like, Paul, you got him? And he's like, no. And they let go of the inches, and they just crashed right to the ground.
Well, at least they didn't. I've seen it where sometimes they go inside. I mean, I'm sure you guys have had that experience when you have a big dumbbell and you think you got it, and it starts coming inside, and then it bangs you in the chest, and it's just sitting on your chest. Have you not experienced that yet? Yeah. So I don't know what it would feel like to have an inch do that. So.
Yeah.
Not good.
I don't want anyone to ever know.
It went the other way.
Yeah, no doubt. Scary stuff there. Was that you that posted that, James, on YouTube?
No, it wasn't.
It might have. You know who it might have been was Josh Hensey. Now that I think about it, maybe it was Josh.
Yeah.
YouTube's funny, man. Like, people can post comments there, and I don't get a notification in my email sometimes if they're replying to someone else's comment, even though it's on my video. And I think I was just reviewing some comments and went down, and it was like this big, long one, and they told that story. I was like, damn, how did I not see that before? So, yeah. Crazy. Anything else on thick bar, guys?
Not for me.
Okay.
No. Nope.
All right. Well, James, you're back at the podium now with the miscellaneous grip feats. So, miscellaneous means what you want it to mean, I guess, guys. So if there wasn't something that fit into the categories that we already covered, I guess you can stick it in there. So, James, go ahead and stick yours in there.
I actually had a lot of feats that I listed for this. I'll put the others in the honorable mention category. Mm-hmm. But number 5, I had Rebecca Roberts setting her little bighorn record at the U.S. Grip Championships in Finland with a lift of 63.7, 140.43 pounds. And I couldn't see a way that I could not include Rebecca Roberts on this list. Mm-hmm. So I had to put her on there because I follow her. I think what she does is absolutely amazing. So
yes.
Number 4, again, maybe call me a little biased here because this guy's a training partner of mine, but Gary Stewart on his march to the gold nail, which is commencing, bending 3 reds in less than a minute, and his second in about 8 seconds during his cert at Gripmas
this past month. Number 3, and I know you guys included this in pinch, I had Brian Shaw lifting that, I don't know what you call it, it's that obscene half 145 York blob.
Gigantor blob.
Pound Gigantor blob, as you call it, in August.
He named it.
So I had that at number 3. Well, if you can pick that up, you get to name it.
Yep.
And at number 2, I had John McCarter setting the Ironmind Hub world record at Nate's 4 for February event with a lift of 96.7 pounds, 43.8 kilograms, which I think when everybody saw the video with Brian Shaw at Juji's, I think when you saw him grabbing the hub and lifting the hub, you kind of had this idea that he was going to break that record. And then when he got up to that level where John was, it wasn't coming off the floor. And, I think that speaks to how amazing a feat that is for John. Mm-hmm. So I had John at number 2. And number 1, he was going to be at number 1 regardless. I had Brian Hunsacker pulling the aptly named Hunsacker stones, 1,028 pounds. One stone was 536, and the other was 492 pounds at John Oka's place in Hawaii this past week.
He made my one too.
Yeah, earlier this month, or maybe it was last month, he did a 555-pound lift with a loading pin off a ring, which that could possibly be the heaviest lift on a ring ever. I don't know. But that's anyone who's done any kind of Denny Stone type training or Highland ring training, that's just that's an obscene number.
Oh, yeah. And it should be noted that on all of those ring lifts that he does, he never uses a hook grip. In fact,
he does them straight up.
I was messaging with him, and he said he has never used a hook grip. So
he's huge, and he's from Utah. He's like a white Karl Malone. He's like he looks like you stand next to him, and you feel like you want to post up against him and try to shoot a hook shot over him. That's how tall he is.
That's right. That's a good point.
Yeah, I didn't realize that about him until it was like his Ironmind write-up for when he started the 3. How large he really was. I thought he was just in like the 6'1", 6'2" category. I didn't know he was like 6.5 feet, and had no clue.
Yeah, he towers above me. I'm 6'2".
Yeah, I had no clue. Not at all.
Yeah,
his videos don't give you that contrast.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, when you're lifting 700-pound stones with one hand, dude, there's not really a good scale comparison,
Yes.
Right.
Pretty crazy. Honorable mention? Should I go with it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had Thomas Larson cleaning a half York 130 blob. And Thomas is a guy who, I've been following him. He's Mr. Wide Pinch on Instagram. I'm sure you guys know that already. But he's constantly posting world-class stuff. And I could not think of a way I could leave him off the list. Also, I had Dmitrio Potapenko, who set the Ironmind Little Bighorn record December 15th with a 238-pound lift at the Ukrainian Elite Grip Challenge. I had Joe Sullivan, who was repping a 20-pound sledgehammer, doing levers with it, and has even had a pretty decent rep at 25 pounds. And finally, even though it's not a feat, Alexei Tukalov winning King Kong 2 years in a row. I think that's certainly something that has to be given some kind of mention in the miscellaneous category.
Absolutely.
Yes. He also made my list.
Is that it,
all
James?
On the same page.
That is all, gentlemen. And if I forgot somebody, I am so sorry. I had a few days to kind of really look over the list, and I did it whenever I had downtime, and I still missed things. I knew I was going to, but it certainly wasn't. There wasn't any omission that was purposeful. That's for sure.
Right. No, you did great job, man. Excellent. Alan, you're up next for the miscellaneous category, tough guy.
Okay, here we go. So my number 5 spot, I actually gave the nod to Juliet Avila. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. She did a double 45-pound plate hub lift. We saw just after King Kong. Yep. It was something. It was up for. What are we laughing about?
So yeah, I missed something. There's one.
Oh.
Who was that? Juliet what?
Avila? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She goes over and trains with Nate Rouse
this year, right?
Okay, she changed with. Okay, all right. She did a double 45-pound hub lift.
Yeah. Yep. It was up for vote on the grip board. It was passed. I don't know. It was on the Feats. It was up for vote on the grip board.
No kidding.
And it passed.
I have not been on there that much. I totally missed that. That's freaky. That's
yeah,
really,
it's impressive.
Really
we don't see a lot of men doing that, let alone for a woman to do that. So I thought that was very incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah, sure as hell took me a while.
Yep. So she was number 5. Number 4. This is a tearing feat. I had to give it to Chris Ryder for tearing a phone book in half wearing those boxing gloves. That you saw.
Yeah, wow.
That was crazy impressive.
You know, a couple of years ago, we were at Soronex Summer Strong, and he was tearing textbooks. And you guys probably know who Derek Poundstone is, right?
Yeah.
He was standing there watching Chris Ryder tear textbooks with this look on his face like, there's something I've never seen before.
Right.
You know, hardcover textbooks, just amazing.
That is
James,
crazy.
I did not know that happened. Do you mind me asking what positioning, what technique he used? Was he doing like the grip and rip, or was it more of a shearing? Or not that it matters.
I think it was
impressive either way.
I think it was. You know, I would be guessing. But I think it was a grip and rip.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but it just. I was looking at his technique, and I remember thinking, well, this isn't going to actually tear, is it? And it did. And then at that point, I think I lost about 30 IQ points and just kind of drooled and stared at it. So
that's big.
Yeah. Any kind of memory after that is over. I think I was traumatized a little bit.
Right.
So.
All right. Number 3 spot, I gave that one to John McCarter for his Iron Mind Hub world record that James talked about, 43.8 kilograms. Real impressive. Number 2 went to Alexei Tukalov, King Kong champion repeat. I know that also isn't necessarily a feat, but it kind of is in my book. He was the first to do it, and given the playing field that was out there, it was very impressive.
Well, you know, in baseball, when people reach a certain number that is like seemingly unattainable and they do it like multiple times, they do call it a feat. So it's not necessarily a record or anything, but they call it a feat. So I think it's right to call that a feat.
Mhm. And then number 1, Ryan Hunsaker got the nod with his Hunsaker Stones lift. So huge congratulations to him.
Yeah, man.
That's not something I ever even want to try. That just looks damn uncomfortable to me. So you can have it.
I know they're going to be glued to the ground, but I want to go out to visit John Oka in Hawaii.
Sure, absolutely.
So, while I'm there,
well,
if I
have to pull the gateway stones first.
Well, I think I'm about there. But that's impressive. That's an incredible feat.
Yep, and Becca Roberts, silver bullet hold. I didn't want to necessarily throw that in the crush category. That was a bonus for me, just because it wasn't like in an official setting so much. So, but she belongs on the list one way or the other.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
For sure.
Was that your honorable mention, Alan?
That was. Yep.
Okay. Cool. So I'm up then, or did you have more?
Nope. That wraps it up for me.
All right. Cool. So. I got a couple different ones here. For number 5, I gave it to Luke Raymond with the 290-pound jug lift in competition this year at King Kong Grip. And he went for 300 and just about hit the thing, dude. It couldn't have been more than half an inch away from the crossbar. So it was just about official, and that was one of my main goals in King Kong this year, was hitting 300, and I only got 280 or something. So he's my number 5 there.
That's good.
What's that?
No, I was like, is that it? 280?
Oh, okay.
That's what thing.
Yeah. Now, number 4, I'm giving that to James Retarides. And
really?
Yes, because, and I didn't notice this right away, and I might have seen this, but I wouldn't have been able to give it the weight that it deserves because I'm not as familiar with this item. You did a 104-pound lever top lift this year, and you held it for like 5 seconds, and I was like, 104 pounds. So then I went and looked at the world record, dude. That's more than the world record, and you held it for 5 seconds. So,
yeah, that was, it's interesting. That was before my shoulder surgery. And I'd contacted Chris Rice about the records, and I was thinking, one of the things that could speed up my rehab for my shoulder surgery is, if I really set a goal to be ready to lift the lever top record by the time Gripmas came around, but I just wasn't. I still had way too much strain in my trap and in my shoulder, and I just wasn't ready. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I certainly want to do this year. I don't know if I have to go to somebody's records comp or something, but I would like to pull something in the 110 to 120 range on that.
Well, I'll tell you what, dude. That's something I'm never going to be able to do. I can't even imagine what that feels like. So I wish you the best in getting to that mark. That's impressive as hell.
Well, I appreciate that. It strains you.
Sure.
It feels very straining. That's what it feels like.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Number 3.
I didn't think I was making anyone's list.
What's that?
I was out of commission most of this year, so I didn't think I was making anyone's list. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, buddy, for sure. Number 3 was Don Cummings. So I don't know if this video got out, but Don did a feat where he broke a huge number of double 60 pennies that were all wrapped together in horn wraps. Do you remember the details of how many he got on that, James?
Oh, gosh, it was some obscene number.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I can't remember, but he had, I forgot, man, I wish I had it in front of me. Because I thought about adding that to the miscellaneous list.
Yeah.
It happened, I think it was just after Gary had done the Reds, right?
Yes, it was right around that same time.
I'm trying to think how many. Gosh, I just remember there were so many wraps there. Man, I don't know, but it was really impressive. I mean,
yeah, dude, for sure. So that was my number 3. Number 2, I gave to Alexei Tukalov for his repeat win at King Kong. So not only becoming the first person to win it twice, but he did it 2 years in a row. Extremely impressive. And then my number 1 miscellaneous feat from this year, I gave to Brian Shaw for the double-inch incline press because I think not only is that something that might not ever take place again, but it really opened the doors for a tremendous amount of discussion this year about grip and more exposure. I thought it was a really, really huge feat for that to have taken place. And I've got a whole bunch of, looking back, we probably should have done like a bending and tearing category because that would have like alleviated some of the space in my miscellaneous list because there's a few other ones that I wanted to mention. Clay Edgen did a 500-pound Reeves deadlift this year with no straps, no nothing like that, and he did it all the way to lockout. I thought that was crazy.
I remember that,
yeah. Mike McMillan did, I'm going to call it a distal phalanx lift with, I think it was like a 45-pound plate or something like that at my place, and then Gareth Keeping has been doing the same thing. Do you guys understand what I mean by that? They're like taking their middle finger and just hooking that last joint around the rim and then picking it up.
Yeah, he almost made it on my list too. Gareth Keeping did for that. Yeah,
really, that's like out of this world, and it's definitely something you won't ever see me try that. I'm too scared.
No, me neither. Yeah, that's not a lot of fun for me.
I got a couple. Go ahead, James. Sorry about that.
I was going to say, I don't know if you guys are okay with this, but with me kind of adding this to the list, because I thought about it, then I didn't put it on my list because I didn't know how much bending, tearing kind of stuff we were going to do. Mm-hmm. But Robert Najedli at a body weight of 118 pounds, bending a red nail, that's hard to overlook.
Right.
He's basically become right up there with pound for pound strongest unbraced benders in the world.
Yep.
I mean, that dude's really impressive.
Absolutely.
A couple of little bighorn feats. First off, the day I first was able to do 200 pounds on the little bighorn, Luke did it for 28 reps, I think. What an asshole.
Yeah.
And then I would not have gotten 200 pounds on the little bighorn that day, but the same exact day, Nigel Blackburn messaged us and said that he had gotten 184 on it, and that was more than I had topped out at, and it actually inspired me to do more, and I would not have gotten 200 pounds that day if it weren't for that. So I wanted to mention that. I got Brian
Nigel
Hunsaker
had a great
twice.
year.
Yeah, dude, for real. Great year for that guy. Brian Hunsaker twice for both the Hunsaker Stones, which he lifted and got to name. And also he put up a video this year of 350 pounds per hand farmers walks on Rogue Farmers, which I didn't see the detail of the handle size, but he said they're thicker than normal. So I guess the estimate was about 1.5 inches for those. Just blows my mind. And then the final one, I guess, for honorable mention was Gary Stewart with his 3 reds in a minute. That's to round out the list. So really, really impressive stuff. And I know a lot of this stuff happened in the last 6 weeks, but holy cow, man! People were saving their best performances for the end of the year this year. Really, in many, many different categories, it was really impressive.
Yeah.
So that's my list. Anything else from you guys for the miscellaneous?
I don't think so. I would say that, it's interesting that, everyone is sort of influenced by what they call the recency effect, looking at things that are, that just happened, with a more critical eye than looking at things earlier in the year. But yeah, I would say that this year's certainly been pretty bottom heavy. End of the year seemed to be when most of the crazy stuff happened.
Yeah. Well, part of it for me is, you go throughout the year and you got all these contests set up ahead of time, and you got to prepare for those competitions. And then it's once Gripmas is done, it's you can take a breath, and you don't have to worry about bringing up your weight on this implement and that implement. You can just kind of have some fun. And I know that for me, every year I seem to knock out a few feats that I were kind of on my list to do. So I think that's something that happens as well. Plus, I know in my training a lot of times I almost overtrain going into a contest, and then I get that super compensation that week before the event. And then, I'm really rested, more than I'm generally rested before. So that's another thing that allows me to get a bump on some of those feats. So, certainly some of the things I was able to do here at the end of this year, there was no way I was going to be able to do them the rest of the year because I was just training too many other events. So
you had to specialize.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. What's your take, Alan? What's your take?
I agree. Yeah, it seems like everybody kind of saved things for the last minute. So that's when a lot of the biggest ones for sure seem to come up. For me, things always kind of more or less wrap up after King Kong in my mind. That's when I kind of relax and start sort of doing some of the other things. But it's been a good year. Seen a lot of huge things.
Well, there's stuff that's happened this year that probably last year we never would have guessed would have happened. The bar just keeps on getting raised higher and higher and higher. Thank God for the internet because we're able to push one another. Otherwise we wouldn't know what everybody else was doing. So it really is something that helps out. And I think that's another beauty of using the hashtag This Week in Grip because, you can click on that. Like today, I clicked on that and I was able to review almost the whole entire year as far as Instagram is concerned. So that's why we ask people to do it. And there's a lot of people doing it. I know it's over 2,500 uses of the hashtag, and 50% of those are James and Brian Hunsaker. So.
Well, you wait till next year, Jed. Now that the shoulders
you ain't seen nothing yet, brother.
Yeah. I'm going to drive you guys nuts. You're all going to get sick.
Yeah, cool. Well, I guess that about wraps it up. And James is going to be back again next week. We've got some other ideas for things to cover along these lines, kind of like recognition things. So we're going to be continuing to talk about that in the coming week, so make sure you stay tuned for episode 81 coming, should be next week. And I guess, I don't know, anything else to mention for this show, guys?
Well, I would just like to say again, thank you guys for having me, and Alan, I hope that shoulder's healing up, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm pulling for you.
Thank you, James. No, it was really good having you on. We talked about having you on in the past, so it was real good. I can't wait forward to next week. It'll be real nice.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Oh, cool. All right. I guess that's it. Alan, why don't you take it away? The show's yours.
All right. Well, that is episode 80 of This Week in Grip. The Feats wrap-up for 2018. Hope everybody liked it. Make sure you comment down below with the feats you think should have made the list. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back next week with another one. We'll see you then.